On that note, you said a little bit ago that you were a cringy atheist. So if I
was
can
the
ask
best of them, though. Like I say cringy as a derogatory term, but I was their king.
Okay. So are you a slightly less cringy atheist now? Have you found a faith? I'm curious about this because I'm on a bit of a journey myself. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I want to believe. And I think I believe in a beautiful mythical tale that is using imagery and allegory about the tale of Christ. And I believe that everyone that was believing in religions at that time thought of Christ the way I do, where they assumed, like, if you were Roman and you happened to be in Greece and you were used to praying to Mars, you could go to the temple of Ares if you were in Greece. You know what I mean? They were all equivalent because the people at the time said, we see the seven heavens, the seven moving objects, and we recognize those as other realms that we tell mythical stories about, right? And things are happening up there. And when you get into the Old Testament, they're like saying that Adam is buried under the moon, and they're going to these different heaven layers. So they're talking about things that are not here on earth. But somewhere along the line, they found it easier to get adherents to their religions if the stories were real. Oh, no. We didn't see this in a vision up in the seven heavens. This really happened. And if you read the Gospels as an actual history, they don't make as much sense as if you read them as a myth where all the names have meanings. It's written in poetic structure where if there's a boy in white at the end, there's a boy in white in the beginning. Each thing is marked clearly. It mimics the miracles of Moses precisely. All the same number of miracles that Moses did, Jesus did. You know, the Nile turns to blood, Jesus turns water to wine. Everything can be found to perfectly line up to indicate a perfectly written myth that is an interpretation of ultimate meta reality for people that I can get on board with, an explanation of good and evil as good as any. And I noticed that the important thing in good and evil times is that someone has a mechanism of recognizing it. It's not so important how you get to the end result. If you're into Deepak Chopra spirit crystals, let's say, I used to find that a bit kooky. If you are asking me what my astrological sign is, I found that a bit kooky. But these people really understood what was happening faster than a lot of people. So I give them credit because I know them by their fruits, and they are very brave people that do stand against evil. So no matter what got you to the dance, I'm happy you got here. And that religion falls into two categories of veracity and utility. And though I may doubt the veracity of literal New Testament, I think that the utility of it is absolutely crucial to us. And that if I am to believe that something is to happen after we go, that is what I think happens. Yeah, I think it is a valid explanation. I think that the book of Revelation is a very good allegorical allegory, metaphor, microcosm for exactly what's happening to us right now. Like, it is very mark of the lamb. Are you doing the right thing? Are you taking the mark of the beast? Are you, like, it's creepy how much it mirrors this. And I'm not looking for patterns. I'm just saying it is a little poetic the way it lines up. And the people I want to be around, the people that I feel safest around, that understand that we need to have families, that we need to defer to things that are higher than our government and hold life sacred. Christians have gotten there first. They hold that ground. They're the only reason we're here and the only reason we have a chance. So while I may say I'm an agnostic atheist, I don't want any more people to be like me, because we don't make the world better. We make the world into communist nightmares where people replace God with government, and they put their egos in charge, and they're all Dunning-Krugers who think that they can do it better than Lenin or Stalin did, and this time it'll be better. They just fundamentally don't understand how stupid they are. So it's really bizarre.
I like what you said about veracity and I guess not versus utility, but veracity and utility. Yeah, I really like that. I think I'm a big fan of integral theory. It's a philosophy which basically says nobody's smart enough to be 100% wrong. And I think that you have you have Indian gods you have elephant gods in India, and then you have like native, like wolf spirits and stuff over here in North America, because that's the environments they grew up in. And you have your tales and your traditions and your myths, and in Judea, you're going to have all the Jewish traditions and stuff like that, and so on, Roman traditions, Greek traditions, whatever the case is. And I think what you said is right, and because you can see a lot of, you talked about, there's those other myths that are the same. Like there's Jesus, there's Dionysus, there's Mithras, there's all the overlap. You can say, oh, the virgin birth and the death and resurrection, and you could talk about all the overlap. But I think, like you said, the utility of those stories, and especially as human beings, retaining information through stories and interpreting information through story, I think that there is utility there in pointing us towards the truth. But you're looking at it through your cultural lens, because you can only interpret. If you're going to see God, or you're going to see the truth or the source or whatever, you can only interpret it from where you're at. And so I think that there's a lot of utility in those stories, like you just said, whether or not the specifics are exactly accurate.
Yeah, it's not as important, right? And these people go around TikTok, they get 3,000 people watching them just to go, prove to me God exists, because they're fixated on the veracity, because they know that's an argument that they can win. And I love jumping in there and going, you know what, you're crazy good at science. Now, how many genders are there? And I love taking it there while they think that they're the most scientific people on earth. And I'm like, you're not a scientist at all. You're ideologically led, and you think you can make things equal because you're a narcissist. And you can't accept life for how it is, and I'm ashamed of you. So that's what makes TikTok fun, is you can walk around telling deluded narcissist 20-year-old kids that, hey, I'm an atheist, let me in. And then when I get in, I'm like, but I'm not crazy like you. I don't think there's 50 genders. And when does life begin? Why is that so hard? You guys should, oh, it's just a clump of cells. Well, what point does it become not a clump of cells? You guys are weirdos.
Yeah, exactly. They're very much weirdos, right? Because if you're going to take the entirely materialistic approach, then abortions right up to birth should be okay, right?
They're so unrealistic, though. They're so lost in the clouds. They're like, oh, well, we can grow people in like a fridge in a test tube now, so I don't need to get a girlfriend. Why do I need a girlfriend? Like, I'm like, you're rock bottom, and you think you can talk to other people as if you know the way home. You don't know the way home.